On camera.
Do it now. You know that's cut, right?
Oh. Action.
Action. Anyway. Anyway, what's up, guys? We want to talk to you guys tonight, obviously, about what's going on in the world. We typically, we try to be as neutral as we possibly can. Obviously, I'm a mature black male of African descent, and my wife obviously is not part German and Irish and some raccoon. I'm just joking. You're the cutest raccoon ever. Anyway, on a more serious note, we just wanted to share with you how we feel today, right? I want to back up to, was it Friday last week? I got pulled over last week. And with the political climate in this country right now, I have to admit, that's probably the most nervous I've ever been, being pulled over by a police officer. And a lot of stuff went through me the minute I saw him turn around, because I was literally raising my head up. As I just glanced down, something fell off the seat. Plus, I had just finished curving around a car, right? And I'll admit, I even told my wife I was not paying attention to my speed, and I typically don't speed through this area because it's very obvious the cops are there. There's a training facility right there on that stretch of road. So I just failed to slow back down. Cop pulled me over, and I'm nervous. This town, it's a good sized town, but it's not the biggest, and I hope that it's one of the more progressive towns. It shows signs of being at Louisville, Texas. And we haven't lived in Louisville very long, just a couple of weeks, a month or so. But this officer pulled me over and I stopped. Obviously I have insurance, but I can't show it to him because I hadn't downloaded it to my phone and I didn't have proof in the car, but your insurance is attached to your tag. And that could have been why he was fairly calm. He walks up to the car, he asked me for my insurance license, and I hand him my license, and I'm doing the classic, okay, I'm gonna reach for my license and he's like, okay. His response was, okay, conduct your business like you normally would. And I was like, all right. So I reached for my wallet, still slowly, mindful of him making sure he could see my hands, no quick movements, because that's how we, as black men and women in this country, have to respond to the police, or we feel like we do. So I give him my license. He asked me for my insurance, and I couldn't find it. He said, okay, I'll tell you what, Mr. Hill, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna check your license, see if you can dig around for your insurance. When he comes back to the car, he said, listen, Mr. Hill, I noticed you're a little nervous. Calm down, take a breath. This is not one of those stops. And it threw me. It literally threw me for a loop, because I was like, what is he talking about? I was nervous. Was it that obvious? Maybe just the gestures. And when he asked me for the insurance, I was like, okay, I'm going to reach for my insurance. He was like, okay. Like almost like I was being offensive to him. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to call my wife. When he went to the car, I said, I need to call my wife and ask her to send me a copy of the insurance. So I called her, say, hey, and I never did say I got pulled over by the cops or nothing. I was just like, because I don't want to make her nervous, because she's already nervous, right? So I said, hey, can you give me a copy of the insurance? She sent it to me took a fefew minutes. By the time we talked, it pops up on my phone, and we both, me and the officer, thought it was expired. We both looked at it, and I was like, oh man, my insurance is expired. I didn't realize it was 23. It expires next year, end of next year, and I thought it was now. Maybe because I was still nervous. Me and this officer, he was like, first of all, I'm not gonna write you a ticket. You're not from this area. Welcome to Louisville. This officer made it his business to sit there and have a friendly conversation with me. And long after he told me I was free to go, I just got engrossed in the conversation with him. She called me and was like, are you okay? I'm like, hey, I just met the coolest officer. I'm still talking to him now. I'll call you back in a sec. We were just chopping it up, and he was telling me about his family lineage and how they have a long history in law enforcement and what his family's personal beliefs are when it comes to representing the shield or the badge and being a public servant to us, right? I was floored. I was impressed with this officer. Menz is his last name, M-E-N-Z, here in Louisville, Texas. He is a exemplary officer, and he told me the reason why he stepped down in rank to move over to Louisville, or at least that's what he told me. He came down in rank so he could move over to Louisville because Louisville, Texas, apparently has has taken the stance that they will not tolerate police brutality. They will not tolerate officers misrepresenting the police in general, and they apparently don't play that. This officer gave me the direct phone number to his superior officers. If I happen to see somebody doing something, police. If I see police acting up, I have direct number to the sergeant's desk. There are resources available, and we never think of this stuff in the heat of the moment, but there are resources available when an officer acts up, right? So tell me how you felt when you knew I was pulled over by the police.
I instantly started praying. That's all I knew to do.
Yeah.
And I was afraid. Even when I called you and you said, I met the nicest of cops, I didn't know if that was the truth or not at that point until you called me and said you were on your way home.
Wow. So then you were talking to Tab, my sister. My sister called me. Bro, you okay? She was trying to call me while I was talking to the officer, and of course I didn't answer. Just out of respect, we're having a conversation, I didn't answer. So I ended up talking to my sister later, letting her know everything was okay. I made it home to my wife, and I could see the relief on her. But one thing that's funny to me, when I drove away, and I even mentioned it to you, I was thinking, what if he pulled me over just to have a good interaction so I can go out and tell people, right? So like it's some positive publicity. And what's sad, and it was a fleeting thought, but what really made me sad is I should have never even had to think that secondary thought, right? Like he wasn't genuine.
Right.
Because in the moment, it felt very genuine, it felt legitimate, it felt like we were making a human connection.
Well, to begin with, you shouldn't have been scared to get pulled over by an officer of the law.
True. I shouldn't have been afraid. But again, I want to commend Officer Menz, M-E-N-Z. Thank you for being a human being. And now, folks, I want to add this. I'm only talking about this one officer on this one day in this one event, right? Him being as awesome as he was in dealing with me in that encounter does not negate all of the other things that happened with the police department. I don't understand enough about this defund the police movement to even comment on what I think. I don't know. I don't know about that. I'll have to do some research. And I'm not a big fan of taking money away. After spending 20 years of managing budgets, I know how hard it is to perform my job when I've lost money in my budget before I can speak on that. It makes it difficult, and it creates new challenges and new hoops to jump through. But something has to change for sure. Today marks what could possibly be a changing point. Now, my wife has been in tune more so than me with what's going on with the Chauvin trial and the outcome, the verdict and all that. She's been texting me like today at work, okay, 30 minutes, they gonna make the announcement, this and that. I'm like, okay, you know, and she'll come tell me, babe, did you see another black man got shot? And I'm just like, not necessarily frustrated at my wife because she's deeply concerned about the safety of her black husband, right? But it's frustrating for me to hear that another black man got shot, especially someone who's unarmed. Another black man left laying in the street.
The stories being twisted on the reports.
Who was unarmed. I don't know what it's like to put on a badge and go out and try to serve the public. But I do have a servant's heart, and I've been in positions where I've had to protect myself and protect other people. And never have I killed anyone in the middle of that. So I don't know. 9 minutes and 29 seconds is an extremely long time because I wrestled in high school, middle school and high school. 3 minutes of wrestling with another man is extremely exhausting, right? 3 minutes is a really long time when we're doing karate. 3 minutes is an extremely long time when you're boxing.
And that's one-on-one.
That's one.
3-on-1.
Right.
Wasn't it?
Right. So anyone will get tired after three-minute rounds, and then partially into the 4th round, you're exhausted. There's no more energy. There's no more fight. Even internally, your heart is tired, right? Because most, like me, I can admit, I'm mentally exhausted with this country and the way that things are going. I love the United States. I feel like it's a double-edged sword. Like, I'm happy when I look at my other brothers and sisters around the country or around the globe in other areas, Africa in particular, and some of these other, all of them down the Bahamas, and, you know, where my people originally come from, or before we were taken from Africa and dropped off in Jamaica, Dominican Republic. These places are African people who are in a very, very bad situation. I had a lady tell me, who's 95 years old, told me, I wonder if the people in those black people in America understand how lucky they are, because it could be worse. So when the police kill us, when the police beat us, or and I'm not speaking about all police, let's get that clear. I'm talking about those police who decide to make bad choices, those police who have bad behaviors. When they make the choice to do harm, we're supposed to feel lucky because we don't live in those other countries.
And you're free now.
Right, and we're free. How did you feel when you found out Derek Chauvin was guilty on all 3 counts?
It was bittersweet. I was extremely happy that he was found guilty and being held accountable. But I don't want people to get it twisted and think that this is, oh, well, here you go. We gave you something. We found Derek Chauvin guilty. And that trying to make up for everything else. No, absolutely not. Nobody's gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop. We just must push forward. This isn't justice. It's not justice by any means. It's holding Derek Chauvin accountable for this one instance. It does not count for anything else, anybody else. And I really hope that nobody is thinking that, and that everybody is still ready to stay in the fight and keep pushing. Because I am.
Absolutely. So, on a different day, I'll talk about the thoughts that I had about police when I was a very young male. But when I found out that Chauvin was found guilty, of course, I'm at work, I'm in the office, and I was shocked to find out there were a few people who don't look like me who were excited about the fact that Chauvin was found guilty. And I didn't even know how to take that, you know? I'm so, and I'm speaking for me, and I know somebody else has to feel this way. I'm at a point to where I almost don't know who's really with us, you know?
Well, I think that this circumstance is probably much worse and obvious. I mean, for crying out loud, when the paramedics has to ask you twice to please remove yourself from his neck. Hello. I mean, so again, this case is this case,
yeah.
And it was an obvious. I mean, I've heard several people say it's obvious that the guilty verdict was definitely needed, and I mean the jury obviously showed us that as well, because they weren't out, you know, in deliberations for very long at all. So
anyway, guys, there are resources available in this country right now. There are a lot of people, black people, who are hurting, who are in a state of mental despair. And the one thing I want to say is, don't give up, but go find some help. Find somebody you can talk to. There are people who will listen. There are people who will help you work through how you feel. There are groups, there are resources available to you to help you manage the feelings that you're having right now. I didn't realize how much inner turmoil I had in me until I saw those, what do they call them, cherries and berries, until I saw the police lights behind me, and then all of a sudden my body tensed up and I was nervous, extremely nervous. But we're here today to talk about it. Derek Chauvin and so many others weren't as fortunate as I was with my encounter with the police officer Mins that I had here in Louisville. So guys, if we can share anything with you at all, we're just two people who are two human beings of a different background who love to mess out of each other. And she loves me in spite of me. Sharing our thoughts and opinions, guys. God bless you. And hopefully things are going well for you out there. Y'all have a blessed night. Peace.